Ugoba is the kind of village that does not let go of the people born in it. Not because of the people, because of the place itself. The soil remembers, the trees remember. The Iroko at the center of the village has been standing longer than anyone's grandfather's grandfather, and it watched everything that happened in that village, including what happened to my mother, including what was done to keep me from knowing. My name is Obi. I left this village 8 years ago when I was 19, the week after my mother died, because my father said it was better for me to go. I believed him. I should not have believed him. I should have stayed and asked every question I was afraid to ask. But I was 19 and I was grieving, and the truth was buried so deep in this village that I would not have found it then anyway. I found it at 27 when I came back. Stay with me. I had not been back to Ugoba in 3 years, not since the last visit that ended badly, with my father saying something I was not ready to hear and me leaving before he could finish saying it. We had been managing our relationship by phone since then, carefully, the way you manage something fragile. Then one Tuesday morning, his name appeared on my screen and something in my chest said, "This is the call." He said, "I am not well, Obi." Nothing dramatic, he said, just my body telling me things I should listen to. He said, "I would like to see you." I sat with the phone in my hand for a long time after he finished. And then I thought about all the things I had left unfinished in Ugoba, all the questions I had filed under not yet and kept moving. And I booked a bus ticket for Saturday. The road to Ugoba is exactly as I remembered it, and nothing like I remembered it. Both things are true simultaneously. The trees are taller, or perhaps I am simply remembering them smaller, because I was smaller when I last moved through them regularly. I watched the forest close around the bus, and I told myself, this is a visit, not a return. There is a difference. I stepped off the bus, and Ugoba looked at me the way it always looked at me, like it had been expecting me. Not my visit specifically, just eventually. Like it knew I would always come back and was simply noting that the eventually had arrived. Several people greeted me warmly. One old woman, I did not recognize her, looked at me from across the path with an expression I could not read, like she was measuring something. I did not know who she was then. I found out later. Her name was Mama Nena, and she was the oldest person in Ugoba, and possibly the oldest person in 3 villages in any direction. She looked at me from across the path for a long moment. Then she nodded once. The specific nod of someone confirming something to themselves, and turned and walked away. I stood there with my bag and thought, I have been in this village for 4 minutes. My father was sitting outside when I arrived. He looked up and I saw his face, and I understood immediately why he had called. He was not dramatically ill, no hospital drips, no dramatic thinning. He was simply less, like something had been slowly turned down inside him. His eyes when he saw me, love and guilt in equal measure. I had always thought that was just how he looked at me. I was beginning to understand it might mean something more specific. We sat and talked the way we always talked, carefully, warmly but carefully. He asked about Enugu. I asked about his health. He said the doctor had given him things to take. I said good. And in every pause between sentences, I heard all the things we had been not saying to each other for 8 years collecting. They were very loud for things that had no sound. My old room was exactly as I had left it. I sat on the bed and looked at my mother's photograph on the shelf. She had been dead for 8 years, and I still could not look at her face without the specific grief of unfinished business. Not just loss, the grief of things unsaid and the questions unasked, and the death that nobody in this village had ever fully explained to me. Tonight I would sleep in this room. Tomorrow I would start asking the questions I was afraid to ask at 19. I had not planned to see Emeka that first evening. I was just walking, the way you walk through a place you grew up in, letting memory fill the space around the present. And then I looked up, and there he was. He had seen me first. I could tell because his face had already done something and was in the process of arranging itself back to normal when I found it. He said, Obi. I said, Emeka. And then we stood there for a moment because the 8 years needed to be acknowledged, but neither of us knew the right word for them. He said, You look exactly the same. I said, You look older. He said, Thank you very much. I said, I meant it as a good thing. He said, I know. And something in the way he said I know told me that he still knew me the way he had always known me, which was more completely than anyone else did. That had not changed. He said, I am glad you came back. The way he said it was not casual. There was something underneath it. I said, Are you going to tell me what that means? He said, Not tonight. Tonight you have just arrived. Rest. Eat. See your father. Tomorrow I will tell you something. I said, Emeka? He said, Tomorrow, Obi. I promise. And he walked away, and I stood in the evening light of Ugoba, and I thought, I have been in this village for 3 hours and already 2 people are keeping something from me. I did not sleep well that first night. The house had sounds I had forgotten. The zinc roof ticking as the night cooled. The forest beyond the compound doing what forests do when people are not watching them. And underneath all of it, I kept thinking about Emeka's face when he said tomorrow. Like he had been holding something that belonged to me and was finally close to returning it. I got up before my father was awake. I was going to find Emeka. I had waited 8 years for answers. I was not going to wait until he decided the time was right. Stay with me. He was already in his workshop. He looked up when I arrived and he was not surprised. He said, I thought you would come early. I said, You thought correctly. He set down what he was working on. He said, Sit down, Obi. I sat. He said, Before I tell you this, I need you to know that I have been trying to decide for years whether it was my place to say it. I kept deciding it was not. And then you called and said you were coming, and I thought, someone needs to tell her. And I am the one who knows. So it should be me. He told me that my mother did not die of illness. The village said she died of illness, a fever that came quickly and took her fast. That is what my father told me. That is what I believed for 8 years. Emeka said, She did not die of illness, Obi. Your mother had the OG gift, the ability to speak to the ancestors on behalf of the living. She was the keeper for your family, and she was killed for it. I said, Killed. He said, Yes. I said, By who? He said, That is the part I do not fully know. I know it was connected to the gift. I know someone in this village was afraid of what she could see with it. I know your father sent you away the week after she died, because he was afraid of what would happen if you stayed. Because the gift does not die with the keeper. It goes somewhere. And he knew where it was going. He looked at me directly. He said, The gift went to you, Obi. It has been in you since the week your mother died. That is why Mama Nena looked at you the way she did when you arrived yesterday. She could see it. He said, You have been carrying your mother's gift for 8 years without knowing. And now that you are back in Ugoba, it is beginning to wake up. I sat in the compound for a long time after I came back from Emeka's workshop. I told myself everything he had said was the product of a village that had been telling itself stories for generations. I told myself I was an accountant. I worked with numbers. I believed in what I could verify. And then I heard something from the direction of the Iroko tree. I walked to the Iroko tree. I do not know why. My feet went there before I decided to go. I put my hand on the bark, and it was warm. Not the warmth of sunlight on wood. Something underneath the surface, like a heartbeat. Very slow, very deep. I pulled my hand back immediately. Then I put it back. Because I am not someone who steps away from things just because they frighten me. The warmth was still there. And then I heard something. Not a voice, not words. Something underneath words. The way music is underneath lyrics. A feeling. Directed at me. Coming from somewhere very old. The feeling was, you came back. Finally. I took my hand off the tree. I walked back to the compound. And I sat down and I said to myself, Obi, something is happening. And you are going to have to decide whether you are going to face it or run from it. I had run once before. I was not going to run again. Mama Nena sent for me on the third morning, not through a message. She sent a child, a small girl about 7, who appeared at our compound gate and said simply, Mama Nena says come now. The girl did not wait. She turned and walked back. I followed her. I followed a 7-year-old through Ugoba at dawn with no explanation and no plan. Because when the oldest person in the village sends for you at dawn, you go. Even if you are an accountant from Enugu who does not believe in gifts and trees and things that pulse with warmth through your palm, stay with me. Her house felt like a different country from the rest of Ugoba, like stepping through a door into an older version of the village. Everything inside it was specific and deliberate. She was sitting in a low chair at the center of it, as if she had been sitting in exactly that position for the past 40 years and had never needed to move. She looked at me for a long time without speaking. Then she said, You have your mother's eyes, I said. People tell me that. She said, not just the shape, the sight. She said it's like these were two different things. I said, What does that mean? She said, Sit down, child. I have things to tell you that your father should have told you years ago. She told me about the Oji gift, the way you explain something to someone who has always had a thing but has never been told its name. She said, in every family in Ugoba, there is one person in each generation who can hear what the ancestors say. Not the dead speaking. The wisdom of the dead, the memory of it living in the world. The Oji keeper receives it during the kola nut ceremony and carries it for the family. She said, Your mother was the keeper for your family. She was the most powerful keeper in 3 generations. What she could see, what the gift showed her, frightened someone in this village, someone who had a secret they needed to remain buried. She said, Your mother saw something 3 weeks before she died. Something someone had done that they believed was hidden. She came to me and told me what she had seen. She said she was going to speak it, bring it into the open the way the Oji keeper must. She said she was afraid, but she was going to do it anyway. And 1 week later, she was gone. I said, Who did it? Mama Nena was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, That is what the gift will show you, if you are willing to receive it, if you are willing to be the Oji keeper your mother was. I sat with that, a rational woman from Enugu, being asked to receive a supernatural gift in order to find out who killed her mother. I thought about the Iroko tree and the warmth through my palm. I thought about 8 years of half answers and careful conversations and everything filed under not yet. I said, "Tell me what I need to do." She showed me the beginning, not the full ceremony. She said the full ceremony would come when I was ready. Just the beginning. The posture, the intention, the opening of the self to what is being offered. She said, "The gift is already in you, has been for 8 years. I am not giving you something new. I am showing you the door to something you have been living beside without knowing it was there." I sat the way she showed me. I held the intention she described. I felt nothing. For about 3 minutes, I felt nothing and I thought, I knew it. I am an accountant. And then something shifted. Like a frequency I had been too busy to hear suddenly becoming audible. Like something that had been standing very quietly in the room with me for 8 years, finally decided I was ready to know it was there. And I felt warm. The same warmth as the Iroko tree, but deeper. From the inside and underneath the warmth. Something that was not quite a voice and was not quite silent. Something in between. Something that knew my name. Something that had been waiting. I opened my eyes. Mama Nena was looking at me. She said, "There she is." I said, "What?" She said, "Your mother. She has been waiting 8 years for you to open that door." Mama Nena told me the gift does not speak loudly at first. She said it comes the way morning comes in the village, gradually around the edges until you cannot remember the darkness. That night I sat on my bed and I waited. And around 2 a.m., it came. It was not a dream. I was awake. I know the difference. What I saw was my mother, not the photograph on the shelf, her. Moving through the village 3 weeks before she died. I watched her walk the path to the Iroko tree. I watched her put her hands on the bark the way I had. And I watched her face as the gift showed her something terrible. She turned and looked at me through the vision, like she knew I was there, like she had been waiting 8 years to show someone what she had seen. And then she showed me, not words, images, a face, a night, a thing done in darkness by someone who believed they were unseen. I saw the face of the person who was afraid of what my mother could see. I saw what they did. I came back to my room, to my body, to the lamplight and the zinc roof, and the sound of Ugoba sleeping outside. I sat with what I had seen for a long time. I knew the face. I had seen it every day since I arrived. The person who killed my mother was someone I already knew. Someone who was still in this village. Someone who had been watching me since I came back, making sure I did not find out what I was finding out anyway. Episode 5 is coming, and I promise you, the morning after the vision, I had to do the hardest thing I have ever done. I had to look at the person who killed my mother, look at them in the morning light in the ordinary village, going about their ordinary life, and not let them see that I knew. Because Mama Nena had warned me, do not confront them before you have everything. The gift shows truth, but truth without evidence helps no one. The vision had not shown me my father as the killer, but it had shown me something almost as painful. It had shown me that he knew. He had known since the week my mother died, and he had chosen, out of fear, out of the specific cowardice of a man who loved his wife and could not protect her and did not know how to face that, to say nothing, to send me away, to manage the secret by removing the person most likely to uncover it. Me. I watched my father that morning and I felt two things simultaneously. Grief, because he had failed her in the worst way, and something more complicated than anger, because I understood, looking at him, that he had been living in his failure for 8 years, that it had been eating him from the inside, that the illness Mama Nena had talked about, his body telling him things, was the physical form of a guilt that had become impossible to carry. And then there was Elder Nwosu, who had sat at my father's table 3 days ago and welcomed me back to Ugoba with warm words and a warm smile, who had organized my mother's funeral 8 years ago with a grief that I now understood was performance, who had been afraid of what my mother could see because she had seen what he did, what he has been doing, what he is still doing. The gift had shown me all of it. Now I needed evidence, and I needed to decide who I could trust to help me get it. I told Emeka everything, not because I had decided to trust him completely, though I had, but because I needed someone who had been in Ugoba for the 8 years I had been away. Someone who knew Elder Nwosu. Someone who had noticed things I had missed. Emeka listened to everything. Then he said, "I have been watching that man for 3 years. I did not know what I was watching. Now I do." Emeka had 3 years of observations that had never made sense on their own. Things Elder Nwosu had done, decisions he had made, money that had moved in directions nobody questioned because he had authority. My mother had seen all of it with the gift. She had been about to speak it. He had silenced her before she could. Mama Nena taught me how to direct the gift rather than simply receive it, how to ask a specific question and hold it in the intention during the ceremony. She said, "Your mother was the most powerful keeper in 3 generations because she did not wait for the gift to speak. She went to it. She asked, 'You are your mother's daughter.' The gift showed me the night my mother died. All of it. I saw enough to take to people with authority. I saw enough to end Elder Nwosu's comfortable safety in this village. And I saw one more thing. My mother's face in the last moment the gift showed her to me. Not afraid, not angry, at peace. Like she had been waiting for me to see this. Like this was what she had been trying to tell me for 8 years. And like now that I had seen it, she could finally rest." I sat with my father that evening, and I let the silence build until it had weight, until he could feel it. And then I said, "Papa, tell me what you know about how Mama died." And I watched his face do 8 years of things in approximately 4 seconds. He did not deny it. That was the thing I had not expected. I had prepared for denial, for more management, for another carefully constructed version of events. Instead, he put his face in his hands, and he said, "I knew. I have known since that week, and I was too afraid to do anything. And I sent you away because I could not face you knowing what I had not done." He told me everything. 8 years of it. The specific cowardice of a man who chose safety over truth because the truth was too large for him to carry alone. I listened to all of it, and when he finished, I was quiet for a long time. Then I said, "I am not going to tell you whether I forgive you tonight. I do not know yet. But I am going to do what you could not do, and I need you to not get in my way." He looked at me, and he said, "I know. I will not." I walked out of that compound, and I felt something I had not felt since I was 19, and standing at my mother's grave, completely alone with something enormous. Except this time I was not going to leave it unfinished. This time I was staying. And in the morning I was going to walk into Elder Nwosu's compound, and I was going to speak the truth the way my mother was killed for trying to speak, and nobody was going to silence me. I went in the morning. Emeka offered to come. I said yes. Not because I needed protection, because witnesses matter, and because Emeka had been carrying knowledge of this village's secrets for 3 years and had earned the right to see the moment they came into the light. He saw me coming, and for 1 second, one clear, unmistakable second, I saw fear on his face. Then the authority returned. He said, "Obi, what brings you here this morning?" I said, "The truth. I have come to speak it, the way my mother was going to speak it 8 years ago before you made sure she could not." I told him everything I knew. In the open compound, in Ugoba morning, I used my mother's voice, not literally, but I felt her in how I spoke. Direct, clear, unafraid. The OG keeper speaking truth that has been buried long enough. People heard. Neighbors came to their doors. Elder Nwosu's authority began to crack in real time. I watched it happen, piece by piece, as the truth removed the foundation it had been standing on. He did not confess in that moment, but he did not deny it either. And in a village like Ugoba, silence at the right moment is its own confession. The people around us knew. They had always half known. I had simply made it impossible for them to continue choosing not to know. By the end of that morning, Elder Nwosu was no longer the authority he had been for 8 years. And my mother's name had been spoken out loud in this village for the first time with the full weight of what happened to her attached to it. The day after, Ugoba was quiet in a different way from all the other quiet mornings I had spent here. It was the quiet of a place that has said something difficult and is now living in the space after it. I sat in the compound and I let it be quiet. And then I went to see my father. My father looked smaller than the day before, but he also looked lighter. Like something he had been holding for 8 years had finally been put somewhere else. I sat beside him. I did not say anything for a long time. Then he said, "She would have been proud of you." I said, "I know." He put his hand over mine, and I let him. Emeka walked with me that afternoon through the village. We did not talk about Elder Nwosu or the confrontation or any of the things that had happened in the past 3 weeks. We talked about ordinary things, his workshop, my work in Enugu, the things we had each done with the 8 years between us. And somewhere in the middle of the ordinary things, I thought, I do not want to live this time the way I left last time. I want to live differently. I want to know that there is something here worth coming back to. He seemed to know what I was thinking. He usually did. I went to Mama Nena before I left. She looked at me the way she had looked at me when I arrived, reading something. But what she was reading now was different from what she had read then. She said, "You look like her now, not just the eyes, everything." I said, "Is that good?" She said, "It is right." She said, "The gift is yours now. It has always been yours. You know how to use it. You know what it is for. Come back and tend it. Come back and tend this village. Come back, Obi." She said it like a request and like a certainty at the same time, the way Ugoba always says things. I stood at the edge of Ugoba with my bag on a Thursday morning 3 weeks after I arrived. The same road that had brought me back was waiting to take me forward. And I thought about everything I had come with and everything I was leaving with and how completely different those two lists were. My father stood at the gate. I hugged him. A real hug. The kind we had not managed in years because there had always been too much between us to close the distance completely. Now the distance had been named, and named things can be crossed. I said, "I will come back more often." He said, "I know you will. You are your mother's daughter. You always come back to where you are needed." Emeka was at the bus stop. Of course he was. I said, "You did not have to come?" He said, "I know." "That is the point." I laughed. He said, "Come back soon, Obi. Not just for the village." I said, "I will." He said, "I will be here." I said, "I know you will. You always have been." I stopped at the Iroko tree on the way to the bus stop. I put my hand on the back. The warmth was there. It was always there. I stood with it for a moment. And through the gift, very quietly, very gently, I felt my mother. Not words, just presence. The specific warmth of someone who loves you so much that even death has not completely removed them from the places you share. I said, I found it, Mama. Everything you wanted me to find. And I said your name the way it should be said. Out loud, in Ugoba, with everything you are attached to it. Not just the woman who died, the keeper. The woman who loved us. The woman the village remembers even when it pretends it has moved on. I said her name. The tree was warm. The morning was quiet, and that was enough. I watched Ugoba disappear into the forest the way it always disappears. Gradually, around the edges, until you are back in the world of roads and noise and things that can be measured and explained. And I thought, I came back to bury my grandmother's unfinished business. I came back carrying 8 years of half answers. I came back not believing in gifts and trees and things that pulse with warmth through your palm. I am leaving Ugoba with a gift I did not ask for and would not give back. With a father who is broken in the right places now, which is the only way broken things can begin to heal. With a friend who will be at the bus stop when I come back. With the truth that has been spoken. With a mother's name restored. With the knowledge that some places hold you, not to trap you, but because they know something about you that you have not yet fully claimed. My name is Obi. I am an accountant in Enugu who believes in what she can see and measure and explain. And I am also the OG keeper of my family, the voice of what the ancestors know, the keeper of the gift my mother carried before me. Both of these things are true. Both of them are me. Ugoba tried to keep me, but what it was really doing was keeping something for me. Until I was ready to come back and claim it. I am ready now, and I will be back. The village has always known I would be. That is the end of Obi's story. If it stayed with you, subscribe to Moonlight Tales by Joy for more stories just like this one. New stories every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, like this video. Share it with someone who grew up in a village that never fully let them go. And tell me in the comments, what was your favorite moment across all 10 episodes? I read every single one. The next story is already waiting.